Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Tiffany Talks, a show that was created for everyday people to have extraordinary lives. Today, we're going to get into a very juicy topic, and that is how to find your soulmate after divorce. We have a special guest who'll be popping on. Rebecca Whitman, and she is the bee's knees when it comes to coaching. Here she comes. Okay, welcome, Rebecca, to this week's episode of Tiffany Talks. Yes, I'm so happy to have you.
Yay!
Now, first, I'm gonna tell everybody about how amazing you are. Right? Not only is she an incredible person in leadership, she's a success mentor. She is a graduate with honors from Princeton, baby. Right? And she is the author of 3 internationally acclaimed books: The Phenomenon Feminine Entrepreneurs, Business Life Universe, and How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time. Hello. She also hosts a globally ranked podcast called Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant. And she has been featured on ABC, CBS, and she's shared stages with Grant Cardone, okay, Jack Canfield, and Les Brown, right? So we're bringing her here today because we're going to talk about how to find your soulmate. How many people are looking for their soulmate before and after divorce, right? But after divorce, sometimes you're a little jaded, right, Rebecca? So, after divorce, you're like, oh, like you don't even know if soulmate is possible because you got to put yourself into this at the first time, and then the second time, you don't. Your belief and possibility kind of diminishes, right? So we know, you guys. I have done this whole relationship thing with you guys publicly. You guys have seen my divorce video, right? So I'm so happy to have Rebecca here to talk about this. So, Rebecca, how do we do this? How do we find our soulmates after divorce?
Hi, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show, Tiffany. You were so amazing on my show, the
Yeah.
Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant show. So we actually got to do a trade, which is so exciting. So the first thing that I will say is you want to really grieve your relationship, the marriage, or whatever didn't work out. Take your time, grieve, baby yourself. So the first thing you want to do is process and release the past, which is really, really, really important. So
Yeah,
that is the first step. And if you need to do that with a coach or a therapist or a sponsor or whoever, a best friend, make sure you really, really get it out, because if you do not really process it and learn it, you will repeat it with the
absolutely.
same type of relationship.
Yeah,
Right? And it's like, how did that guy keep moving to the bar or the party I was going to? We like create the same dynamic over and over and over again with the same type of guy or person. So that's important. The next step
wait,
is
wait. Let's
to go.
stop there. Let's stop there because I mean, what you
Okay.
so important and so true.
Yeah.
Because, and I love the way that you said it. You goes, how does that same guy keep moving from every bar, right? Because the reason
Yes.
why it's important, the reason why it's important to do the work on yourself and the process yourself is because whatever you don't learn, you repeat, right? Whatever you
Yes.
don't learn, you repeat. So you were saying that you want to process and mourn the relationship. So what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean exactly by
I said the first step is to process and release it.
uh-huh.
So I really am a huge believer in the power of forgiveness.
Yeah,
Because if you're still holding on to a resentment or a grudge or a feeling of victimhood, then that energy is actually going to block you manifesting your soulmate. So it's really important that we release with the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the salve for the human heartache.
I
Forgiveness is the answer to letting go.
I love that so much. Now, what about people who say, "Yeah, I forgive. I'm not going to forget." Right? So, like, how would you speak into that? Like, so how do you like forgive someone for the relationship, but then not forget about those experiences that you had and not carry that thought process or belief system into your next relationship?
Well, forgiving is really letting, I like this quote about forgiveness. Forgiveness is and I'm paraphrasing it, but it's the petal of the lily emitting a beautiful fragrance and not worrying about the heel that crushed it. It
Oh my,
still emits a beautiful it still emits a beautiful fragrance as it gets crushed. So forgiveness is a way to not dim your light, because if you're resentful, you're not going to be vibrating or as happy and high, just you're not going to light up like you could. So it's for you. It's actually not for the other person. It's for you so you can be your fabulous self. And I know all the people who watch your show and go to your retreats and do your workout videos, they're following you, Tiffany, because they want to be their most fabulous self. So it's not for the other person, it's for yourself. So that's very important to clarify.
yeah.
But you don't have to forget, because there's great lessons in the pain of divorce and in breakups. And so you don't want to forget the lessons, but you still want to shine your light bright so you can attract your soulmate.
hmm So just to drive that home, since that's really important, that when people forgive, they think that they're actually doing the other person a favor. I forgive you, right? Like you're like doing the other person a favor. If you remember that forgiveness is for yourself,
Yes,
your
that's what I
life.
want to tell your listeners. It's not because the other person was right to do that. It's for you so you can move on and live your fabulous life.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
You
for
don't
yourself.
forgive them, you're holding it inside of you, right? If you don't forgive them,
Yeah.
your grudges and your anger and your disappointment inside of you, and all of that is low vibrational energy. And then what happens? You attract a low vibrational partner. Ooh, right?
Or you attract someone who treats you the same exact way because you have a tape inside your head going, oh my God, I can't believe he cheated on me. I can't believe he cheated on me. I'm so mad. And then you're like, why do I keep attracting people that cheat on me?
Yeah.
Because you're keeping that tape, you're keeping that thought alive, and you're going to manifest it again. So you really want to forgive yourself and forgive the other person. I have a great affirmation for this, Tiffany. I'm a big believer in affirmations. And in my book, How to Make a Six-Figure Income Working Part-Time, I have 21 customized affirmations.
Love
But
it.
one of my favorite affirmations that's not in the book is, I forgive everyone for absolutely everything, especially me.
Yeah.
Because we blame ourselves, right? As women, if I was younger, fitter, funnier, more famous, more intelligent, then he would not have done me wrong. But it has nothing to do with you, girlfriend.
Yeah.
That person's living their own path.
I have to say, I have to make this distinction. I have to make this distinction for everyone who's out there listening, right? And this is something that happens in language that we get to release. People say,
Yes.
he or she cheated on me, right? We get to
Yes.
divorce ourselves from that language. No, they didn't cheat on you, they cheated. And it was on themselves.
Yes.
On themselves.
On
They cheat on themselves, on their word, on their commitment. Has nothing to do with you, you guys. Somebody else cheating is not doing something on you. So we use that like he cheated on me, he did this to me. No, that person did that, and that's their process, right? And you don't take their breakdown into your body, okay? Don't take their breakdown
yes.
in your body, right? He cheated.
Yes,
That's
they
it. You know what I mean?
that person has a lack of integrity, and it
Yeah,
has nothing to do with you.
right.
Exactly. You're in integrity. So why take that into your body? I love that.
Yes, yes. Okay, so number one, you said to release. What's the next step?
Radical self-acceptance. And I know you teach this a lot in terms of body image, but the same is true with your love life. You accept everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. You don't want to use the words I woulda, coulda, and shoulda, because
Yeah.
those are words that we use to beat ourselves up and to question ourselves about how the past played out. It
Mm.
happened exactly where you're supposed to be. So I really like the affirmation, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be on my journey. Everybody's on a journey. The person who cheated on you is on a journey. You're on a journey. And now, you know what? When somebody or something no longer serves you, you get to walk away and love and accept yourself. So radical self-acceptance. You didn't do anything wrong. You are perfect just as you are.
hmm Radical self acceptance. I always talk about that, right? About being uh, loving yourself through it all, right? So we are
Yes.
attached to perfection in our society, and it doesn't and never does exist, right? But when you accept yourself in the process, right? When you accept yourself in the process of whatever's happening, keep yourself, hey Ty, thank you for that.
Mhm.
And you keep yourself in the highest version of yourself possible at that moment, right? Because life looks like this, right? So it doesn't mean that
Right.
accept yourself that everything is always going to be great, right? This is like the fact
Yeah.
life goes like this. Shit happens, right? And you get to love yourself through it all. You get to love yourself through it all. Okay. All right. So
Yes.
thank you, Rebecca. Okay. So radical self acceptance. What's the next step?
The next step is decide if you want to be the masculine or the feminine energy in the relationship. So we're not talking about gender, we're talking about energy. So feminine energy is receptive, passive, vulnerable. Masculine energy competes, controls, and conquers. Do you want to be the leader? Do you want to be the person who's chasing, or do you want to be the person who's chased? Do you want to be the giver and the provider, or do you want to be more in the receiver? Now, I know we're all empowered women here. This is 2022. We're all badass powerhouse women that we all want to make money. I'm not talking about making money. I'm talking about the energy in the relationship. Do you want to be the leader, or do you want to be the follower? Do you want to be the person who is being given to, or do you want to be the breadwinner? That's what I'm talking about.
Wow, this is so powerful. I have to tell you, Rebecca, this is such a great subject because when I got into my marriage, right, I decided to be the feminine energy, right? I decided to, like, I moved, I gave up my job, my career, I was open, I was vulnerable. And one of the breakdowns I had was being in the feminine. Um, Created sort of a distance between me and my true self, right? And this is something that I've
Mm.
marriage, right? And I want to talk about that because I did a lot of work on the feminine energy and receiving and now I don't want to see being more passive because it's not really passive, but like letting the man lead. And as you know, I do believe that in the relationship there gets to be a masculine energy that leads because everybody can't be leading, right? Somebody has to follow.
Right.
But learning how to balance that exchange of energy throughout, I found to be really practical. Because what happened with me, this is just me personally, being in the feminine almost like disconnected me from a greater part of myself. And that means that
Mm.
I, I am a controller, I am a leader. And I found myself not being that in the relationship. And so I was being
Mm-hmm.
job. I was being that with my children. I was being that other places. And then I was not having my authentic self, right, in the relationship. So having that balance of being feminine, if like I made the choice, right, to be more feminine, but I'm also like a driver, right? So I found, and I thought it was going to be okay to be that somewhere else and somewhere else in the relationship. But as we know, the way you do one thing is the way you do all things, right? So it was really challenging for me to create that balance. How can you speak into that?
So I think everybody has masculine and feminine energy, but it's kind of like a slow dance, right? If both people are leading, you're stepping on each other's toes.
Mm.
So when it comes to a relationship, if you decide you want to be in the feminine energy, you're not giving up your power. You just have to give a little heads up before you switch. Like, oh, I'd really like to share my opinion on this. When would be a good time? I
Mm.
really want to talk to you about my feelings about what you just did. When would be a good time? So instead of just blindsiding them with your masculine and trying to like take control, you just give a little heads up like, oh wow, I would love to teach something that I learned today in my class. When would be a good time? Because teaching is masculine. And it's just more about switching into the masculine. Of course, you're going to have opinions, thoughts, ideas. I used to be someone who I'm a teacher, I'm a life coach. So I was constantly wanting to teach and preach, and I didn't know I was emasculating my guys. So now I know that if I want to switch, I just say, "Oh, you know what? Are you open to some coaching about what you just said?" And then I just give them a heads up. And then we have different areas where I'm the CEO. Like when it comes to household chores, I'm the CEO of making the bed. He's the CEO of doing the dishes.
Mhm.
We're both co-CEOs of doing the laundry.
Right.
I'm the CEO of our social life. So there's certain areas where you can be the leader. You just have to know kind of like who's doing what. So again, you're not stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah, I love that what you said about if you're both leading, you're stepping on each other's toes. Because if you're in this dance, this relationship dance, and I think that that's what's really key is most people don't understand that that energy is really there, right? So we're not taught this, right? Which is why we're coaches, right? I
Mm-mm.
teach leadership, and you're a mentor, and you're a success coach because as we learn it, we want to teach and share, right? But we're not taught
Mm-hmm.
the time in our lives, right? And I always say you can graduate with the biggest degrees and still not know how to navigate your personal life, not know how to navigate
Yes.
through life's ups and downs, right? So that's why I do my course in mindset makeover. That's why you've written so many of these phenomenal books, and you're doing your podcast, balanced, beautiful, and what is it? Balanced, beautiful,
Abundant.
abundant. Yes, this is why we're speaking into this right now because so many of us are playing catch up. So that energy, right, is a dance, and it's a dance,
Yes.
and you get to it. And what I love is that when you talk about it, because a lot of times we think we don't have to talk about it, right? We don't want to talk about it. We want to be surprised, but you get to talk about it. You actually really get to know your partner. But as
Mm-hmm.
what you're talking about, so like you said, like you're the CEO of making the bed. He's dishes. You guys had to have a conversation around that, right? You had to have
Right.
a conversation. You had to have a meeting of the minds, and I think that that's what's missing in a lot of relationships. Really talking about like what your needs are, how your personality is. What I realized I did, I showed up one way, like just being in the feminine, almost like, and we never really talked about it, right? We never really talked about how it was showing up. So that renegotiation phase didn't really happen without him feeling blindsided or without me feeling inauthentic, right? So one of the
Mm-hmm.
things important is having that conversation and not expecting the relationship to just be a mind reading, like surprise, hello, I'm leading now, right? We get to think about what works and what doesn't work in the relationship. One of the things I know because I studied about this was that you can, when you get into a relationship, renegotiate, right? You renegotiate your role.
Absolutely.
That's really important too. So that's awesome, Rebecca. Okay, so that's number three. What's number four?
Yep.
How
The
many?
fourth one is to what did you say?
How many numbers do we have?
There's seven. There's
Seven.
seven. We're halfway there.
Okay, beautiful.
The next one is decide, and if we don't finish, we don't finish. It's okay. They can just email me for the rest of them or whatever. Like let's keep going. So the next one is decide where to fish. So dating is like fishing. You're trying to find the right match, and how many reels do you want in the water? Do you want to just meet people in person? Do you want to meet people online? How many dating sites do you want to be on? Do you want to do speed dating? Do you want to go to a bar by yourself? Do you want to go to a Starbucks by yourself? Do you want to do a vacation? How do you want to meet people? And that is deciding where to fish.
Oh, I love that because then I coach some people in the mindset makeover who are absolutely against online dating, right? And I think that online dating is amazing, right? Because it's a great way to meet people and from the safety of your own home. But some people are against it. So when you think of it like that, like where do you want to fish? You want to go fishing. Everybody wants to be, I want to be in a relationship. I want to make my soulmate, but we're kind of expecting him to knock on the door like, hello, your soulmate is here, right? So it kind of doesn't work that way. So I love that metaphor of fishing, like, and where are you going to cast your line, right? And so is having
Exactly.
advice on where the person should look to cast their line, or can you speak into that at all?
I like presenting where you actually go somewhere once a week for a half an hour. You dress up, you put on your makeup, and you just present yourself to the world and go somewhere nice, like a 5-star hotel lobby or a Starbucks in a really trendy neighborhood. And you just smile and you give everyone eye contact and love. And eye contact is the international mating call.
Mm.
It's supersedes any languages. And if you smile and make eye contact for 5 seconds, that is telling that person you're open for conversation. And even if they don't come talk to you, you're just out there and you're looking beautiful and you're just sharing God's light with the world. And I think that is the best way because you can see where you're fishing. You can actually see what you're pulling onto your boat.
Okay, so now do you recommend going to the same place every week or different places every week?
I think if you find a good pond where there's a lot of good fish, where there's a lot of eligible men swimming around, you go every week, you know?
Okay, okay.
If there's a beautiful hotel with a nice lobby and it's nice and you're getting sun and you're drinking your latte and you're just enjoying the ambiance, when you're in your feminine energy, you're happy. Men need to do good to feel good, and women just feel good because they exist. So when you're feeling good, when you're in your favorite clothes, when your hair and makeup is done, when you're just being fabulous because you exist, and that's when you're going to attract and magnetize, when you're just being in the moment. We're as women, we're so on the go, like literally go, 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 scheduled to the minute. I'm the same way. And it's like you can't be caught if you're a moving target. You
Yeah.
have to stop so the masculine can actually catch you and you can be found. But if you're constantly moving, nobody's going to be able to find you because you're going too fast.
Yes, I love that. I love that. No, that made me think that when you were saying that. Now, is it possible for a woman to be in her masculine energy and attract a feminine energy man?
Absolutely. It's just energy. So it can be gay, straight, lesbian. It's not gender specific. If you want to be the hunter and if you want to be the one who is competing, controlling, doing more of the providing, go for it. Like I have no qualms against that. So you can hunt. You can
Mhm.
go somewhere once a week for 30 minutes and you can walk up to people and say, "Hi, how are you? What's going on today and how are you feeling?" You can be do the same thing and take that half hour a week and go somewhere in person. You could go more than a half hour a week, whatever you have in your schedule. But yeah, it's absolutely up to you if you want to be in the masculine or the feminine.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. So many gems here. Miss Classy is like going off the chain. She's loving everything that you're saying. You guys can description box. I've put places where you can actually reach Rebecca on Instagram. You can email her, and she's also given you an amazing gift. Okay, it's that called the Abundance Journal. So you click on that link, and you'll get her gift. So we want to keep going. So we're at number 4 or 5. What was that?
Five, we're on number 5, first date etiquette.
Mhm.
So first date etiquette is so important because I'm sure your listeners can relate. You're like, we had such a great first date. I thought this person really liked me, and then they ghost on you. Has that ever happened to you, Tiffany?
No.
That's because you're just drop dead gorgeous. But it used to happen to me when I dated. I would think, oh my God, I had this great first date. What happened? So you're so funny. So basically, there are certain things that you want to do on the first date.
Uh-huh.
The first thing is you want to be on time. Another thing is you want to keep your cell phone in your purse. Do not grab your cell phone, even to show them a picture of your kid or your dog, because right when you're showing him your dog, you're going to get a text from somebody else on the dating site going, "Hey, baby, when do you want to see me tomorrow?" And it's just going to completely kill your date. So
Yeah.
do not touch your phone for any reason whatsoever. You want to actually not monopolize the conversation. You want to be more interested than interesting. And I think that being an active listener is really important on the first date because even if this is not your soulmate, I believe that God speaks through people and you're going to hear one thing that's going to help you get to the next step on your journey. So
Oh,
I think it's really important to be an active listener. Everybody has something to teach you, even if it's someone who's, you're like, oh my God, I can't wait for this day to end. At least give them your presence and, 30 minutes to just listen to the treasure. Everybody has a treasure. You just have to listen for it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And you know what also I thought about, what came up for me was like, sometimes when we go on a date, you're trying to get somewhere, right? Instead of being in the presence of someone, you're meeting a new person, you get to find out, like, you're looking to, like, their energy exchange, be present in the moment, right? So if you're, even if you know that person's not your soulmate, right? If you might know that right away, you're still in a wonderful experience with the new person that you can get to know. So one of the things that we get to be careful about, I would say, is like being in one moment and only focus and always focusing on the next, right? And it's like you said, being in here, there may be a nugget, there may be something that you learn, there may be something that you learn about that person or about yourself that is valuable. Like you said, God speaks through people. Another really great point that you made is like, don't get on your phones, you guys. We really have an issue with our phone, but as soon as you pull out your phone, you're basically telling that person, like, you know what, I'm done with you right now. There's something more important right now. So like, I make it a habit not to pull out my phone when I'm dating, and I'm a very good active listener. So that's probably why I don't get ghosted, because I listen. So
I love it. I
yeah,
love it. The
interesting.
other thing is
Interesting. That's really.
date, don't
Uh-oh, are you there?
be more interested than interesting. Yes,
Yeah. Okay. Say it again. I'm sorry.
I'm here.
I broke up.
Don't trauma bond, which means don't tell them, oh my God, everybody on this app sucks. I can't believe how many dates I have to go on to meet my soulmate. This is like the hardest thing I've ever done. Like keep everything light and polite. Do not share, oh my God, you won't believe how bad my divorce was. This guy sued me for everything I'm worth. Like don't be negative, and don't be like too open with like all the trauma and negativity in your life. For the first 3 dates, just keep it light and polite. Think of it almost as a job interview. You wouldn't go on a job interview and be like, oh my God, my last boss sucked. He
Yeah.
like, talk shit to me all the time. Like, you wouldn't do that and expect to get the next job. So keep it light and polite and positive.
I love it. You are dropping gold nuggets here. Number one, life and polite. And the other one is don't trauma bond. Oh my God. Like, this is something like when you're, and that's one of the reasons why we go back to number one, you get to heal yourself from the first relationship. Because if you're still in trauma over it, that's all you talk about in the relationship. You haven't released it and forgiven, right? You see how you pull that in? And then that person gets to know you based on your trauma. Oh my God. Like, we don't want that, right? So we get to clean that up. All right, number six.
Absolutely. Number 6 is dating life. So, depending on if you chose masculine or feminine, you want to, stay in that role. So, you don't want to blow them up with their text and asking them out. Like, if you chose the feminine, let them lead. So, I believe in match and model. If they say hi on the text, you say hi on the text. If they give you a smiley face, you give them a smiley face. You don't want to double text people and triple and quadruple text people.
Uh-huh.
That is really a bad mistake. So don't do 2 texts in a row. Just text for text, emoji per emoji. They give one emoji, you give one emoji. You don't give 10. So you just match their energy while you're dating. That's a big thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I like that. And then it also speaks, though, into what about, and this is actually something that I always work on, is vulnerability, right? So what
Mhm.
about being vulnerable? Like I say, vulnerability is very feminine, right? It's a feminine energy.
Mhm.
Very, it's one of the strongest ways of being that we can embody, right? People think of vulnerability as weak, but vulnerability is incredibly strong. I had another coach, Justin. He presents us to a coach. It's like, when you're vulnerable, you're no longer vulnerable. So how do you speak into, because I think you're talking about the date dance, how do you speak into when you're in the relationship and you want to say more than just a smiley emoji? Or if you have something that you want to share that's on your heart that could trauma bond you, how do you speak into that? Like, it's like, when you, are you just talking about the initial dating, or when you've gotten into a committed relationship? Can you make that distinction?
Yeah, right now we're just talking about dating, not once you've gotten into a relationship.
Hmm.
I believe being vulnerable in this phase is letting them know that you like them, letting them know that, wow, like, I really appreciate like what you're doing, on this date, and I really appreciate how expressive you're being, and I really appreciate your generosity. So I, now that I'm in a relationship and I'm in a marriage, I let the whole world know this is my boo. I love this guy. This is my soulmate. I think that's really vulnerable because a lot of people don't want to like show the world too much how they feel about the person.
Yeah.
As far as the other part of your question, once you're in a committed relationship, you can set an appointment. Like, oh my God, this movie that we watched, it really brought up some of the stuff that I went through before. Are you open to hearing about it? But I
Mm.
wouldn't bring any of that up until you're in a monogamous, committed relationship. I would, again, just have fun, be playful, have a good time. It doesn't have to be so heavy
Yeah.
because it's such heavy times that we're in with everything that's going on in the world, and people have such little time to socialize. So I think that in the beginning, just make it playful and fun and flirty.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That way you get more dates, right? People lean
Yeah,
fun, not towards what's heavy, right? Okay, so we are
that's right.
a number 6, yes?
We're on number 7.
Oh,
We're just finishing up perfectly.
uh-huh.
So number 7 is called Close the Deal.
Uh-huh.
And that is to negotiate exclusivity before you're intimate with someone. And I know that that's something that it took me a lot of painful heartbreaks. I would think that just because I fell into bed with someone that they were my boyfriend, but that is not the case. So before you actually are intimate with someone, negotiate, that we're going to be exclusive. You can also negotiate testing, STD or COVID testing. You can negotiate how often you're going to see the person, because if somebody's out of town or if somebody's very busy, you can say that if we're intimate, I'm really going to bond with you and I'm going to want to see you. So I want to make sure that we're going to be seeing each other, at least once or twice a week or whatever works for you. And this sounds really like pushy and against what everybody says. The common dating advice is, oh, don't act like you want anything serious. If you act like you want anything serious, the person's going to run away. Well, if they run away, then good. That means they
Yeah.
didn't want anything serious and you're not going to waste your time.
Yeah. And that brings me to another distinction, you guys, because what we're talking about is how to find your soulmate. There's some people who are not looking for their soulmate and they just want to have casual sex or they just want to have that relationship. And after they've gotten into it, maybe they caught some feelings and they want to go back and renegotiate, right? So like say you
Yeah.
casual sex relationship and then afterwards you're like, oh, I think this is my soulmate. Well, then you get to kind of renegotiate some things where you didn't set any kind of boundaries, expectations, or mutual goals, right? So I love that you presence, like when you're in a relationship and you know what you want, you're looking for your soulmate, then you get to be open and honest with your communication, especially before you're intimate, right? And I think, our society doesn't give a lot of permission for us to talk about that. We used to a long time ago. Remember, people used to have chaperones and parents, and the whole family was involved. Now we can make these decisions for ourselves, and a lot of people are making these decisions with not a lot of information. So when you guys are looking for your soulmate, number 7, you're saying you get to negotiate the terms before you get into. Was that clear? Is that what you said?
Yes, negotiate the terms before you get intimate, and also be detached if they don't want that, because
Yeah.
I used to have that conversation and certain guys would go running for the hills and I would think, oh my God, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. With the dating culture right now, it's a hangout casual sex culture. That is the predominant culture. So if you're saying you're looking for a life partner, you're looking for a monogamous committed long-term relationship, that's how I would say it. I wouldn't say I'm looking for a marriage partner or a spouse, but you're looking for a committed long-term relationship. If they go running away, great, bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, because that's not what you want. And they're saving you a lot of time and heartache. And it takes a lot of courage to say what you want. But after sex, the dynamic changes. So
Mm,
having this conversation before sex is it's self-care. It's actually taking care of yourself, because if you're following Tiffany, I know you believe that your body is your temple and
yeah.
you don't want to just let anyone into your temple. And you
Yeah.
don't want to, just soil your temple or just not treat it well by putting your body in a position of just having casual sex with just anyone. you don't even know if you're ever going to see them again or if they're STD free or anything. You want to make sure that you negotiate and protect your temple, your mind, body, spirit health, which is exactly what Tiffany teaches.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, again, you have to remember, like, anyone that you're intimate with is actually inside of you, ladies. That is a sacred space. It's a
Yes, and
space.
energetically,
Energetically.
they are getting they're getting their energy and their vibration all over you. So if it's a negative person who is just, having terrible low vibrating thoughts of like hate, bigotry, resentment, jealousy, bitterness, that is all going to spill onto you
Yep.
energetically and physically.
Yep. People lock their cars, they lock their homes, and then they leave their bodies.
Mhm.
So just check that. All right. So we're going to take some time
Yeah.
for questions. Somebody here. Thank you so much. We have Miss Classy, Elaine, Shy, Ty, Wendy, Cheryl. They're really enjoying you, Rebecca. I'm so happy you came on here. You guys have any questions? Any questions before we conclude the show? This is a conversational show, and we care about your feedback and your input. All right. So yeah. So Wendy is like concurring. It's absolutely true. Our bodies are sacred, you guys. And somewhere along the line in our freedom, we lost that. We lost that concept of how sacred our bodies truly are. And it is a part of self-care to decide who we get to have that energetic exchange with. Okay. All right. Yes. And we get to have fun. Yes, Wendy, thank you for presenting. Because you don't want to don't trauma bond. I love that when you're dating, don't trauma. Yeah, there's so many amazing like things. What don't trauma bond? The other one was like keep it light and what?
Keep it light and polite.
Light and polite. Light and polite. All right. Yes, Dr. Nakiba is on. She loved the topic. She will catch the full replay. You guys, if you guys enjoyed this show and relationships are such a hot topic, everybody wants to find love and not everybody knows these really important, actionable steps. Please share this video with a friend. First, subscribe to my channel, right? If you're watching and you like it, hit subscribe and then hit notify so that you can be notified every time that we go live. Imagine if you'd missed this. This is an awesome conversation with Rebecca, and I think that it serves everybody on here. If there's something that you can take away to make your relationship better, to plan for meeting your soulmate, or to even focus on your own healing. There's so much here. Thank you, Rebecca, for everything that you brought to us. So now I want you to let them know where they can find you, tell them about the gift, and tell them about your podcast, which I was actually on. So
Yeah. So I have an awesome gift. So when you're manifesting your soulmate, it's really important to get your mind right because your thoughts create your vibration, which attracts your soulmate to you. So I have an amazing journal format. I have been using it for decades. It has absolutely transformed every area of my life, my physical health, my financial abundance. And now I just got married to my soulmate and we're just having the time of our lives. And yes, it was after divorce. So this abundance journal changes your thinking. It literally flips it from negative to positive, and it's incredible. It's a great life tool to get anything you want, whether it's your soulmate, your perfect health, or anything. So Tiffany's going to have the link to that in the show notes. It's called the Abundance Journal. Make sure you get that journal. It's 5 minutes a day that will help you get everything you want. I have a great show called the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant Show. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. It's awesome. I have great people like Tiffany talk about how to be balanced, beautiful, and abundant. And you can just find me on Instagram at Rebecca E. Whitman.
beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for showing up and bringing all of your love to this experience. Remember, like, subscribe, and hit notify so that we can bring you more amazing guests such like Rebecca to talk about all of these subjects that can help us elevate our lives so that we can continue to be fit, fierce, and fabulous, you guys. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Signing out. Thank